Welcome to a new episode of the CAP Podcast, Consumer Ammunition Tactics Podcast. We got a special guest on this episode. I got a young entrepreneur, Iyana. I'm going to read her bio, and we're going to get straight into it. So Iyana Young, she's a 23-year-old young and motivated serial entrepreneur. So she's doing a lot. Her journey started 2.5 years ago when she quit her job working for Chase Bank, and she started her own credit business, where she teaches the importance and power of credit. And she also helps people build and repair their own credit. She was able to leverage the cash flow from that business and invest it into 3 short-term rental properties where she was able to make $54,000 in just half a year. Yes. Now she takes all of her experiences and knowledge and teaches whomever she comes in contact with how they can do it too. Welcome to the podcast, Iyana. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm great.
Good. So you got a lot going on over there, 23, serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
Credit is obviously important. Before we even get into like the Airbnb, the credit, all that, can you tell us like who is Iyana? Maybe your upbringing, all that.
Okay. All right. So Iyana has an interesting backstory. So my mom, she had me at 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And since 16, it was just me and my mom. We've lived in shelters. I've literally watched my mom struggle and work hard all her entire life to get where she's at. And she's not even where she wants to be, but statistically, she's not even supposed to be where she's at. And her daughter is damn sure not supposed to be where she's at. So, all my life watching my mom work as hard as she did. And I always tell people, like, I always knew that we didn't have a lot of money, but I never really knew what I was missing out on. Mm. And that's a good and bad thing. Good as a child, because I knew we didn't have a lot of money, but my mom always made it happen. And then as an adult, I'm experiencing new things. I'm learning new things. Like, wow, my mom had none of this knowledge, and none of this knowledge was taught to me as a child. And it's so crazy how much, in hindsight, I think I actually did miss out on. So, but I would never regret it, because that really made me who I am. It drives the hustle in me. It drives the ambition in me. Most 23-year-olds you meet are most definitely not in the position I'm in, and that's not because of luck. It's just hard work and dedication. So, definitely shout out to my moms.
Yeah. Are you an only child, or?
I am not. So my mom actually has another child. My brother, he is 7 years younger than me. That's my little boy. That's my little bro. So just him. And then on my father's side, I have lots of siblings. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Lots of siblings over there.
Okay. Are you from New York, or?
I'm from Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. And
I knew I heard that accent. So I knew I heard something. Okay.
I'm from Jersey. I just moved down to Charlotte. Literally in September. So 2 months ago, I just moved down here.
Oh, bet. Okay. So how did you actually get into credit? Because you're saying that, your mom had all these struggles and things like that. So
right. I was never taught about it. I never knew about credit at all. I never knew the importance of credit. And I honestly didn't learn probably until I turned about 18. And that's because I was hired at Citibank. And I was a teller there for 2 years. But the type of person I am, like, I'm going to take every situation and learn from it, So just being a teller, I learned ton of information. I would meet clients with these large equity lines of credit and things like that. And I'm like, and they're living off of these equity lines of credit. I'm talking $750,000 lines of credit. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm a very people's person. So, I could easily ask my customers how you do this, or speak to them without them feeling offended. Like, y'all in my business. No, I'm a very people's person. So they would open up to me. And I'm telling you, I met millionaires. I worked at Chase for 2 years. I worked at Citibank for 2 years, and then Chase for a year. Mm-hmm. And within that 3-year period, I met millionaires. Like, it's one thing to see and hear about people with millions of dollars, but it's another thing to have them in front of you when you're looking in their bank account and $2.5 million, $3 million is sitting in the account. Mm-hmm. And that was like a big thing to me, because it's like, wow, like these people are not just, figments of my imagination or people you hear about in movies or celebrities. These are everyday people walking around with millions of dollars in their account and $500,000 in lines of credit. So from me seeing that, I would ask questions. I would talk to them. I'm like, how y'all do this? Come on, give girl some, and they would honestly be open with me and tell me, like, these are the things you have to do. These are the steps that you need to take. You know what I'm saying? Like you just start out with this line of credit, then move on to that. And then these are the banks you need to, like, they really broke it down to me. And I'm talking lots and lots of customers. So from then it was like, I learned so much. I started repairing my own credit. For me, it wasn't even repairing. I luckily, I learned so young that when I started building my credit, I learned, or I was 18 when you're legally allowed to build credit.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was working at the bank, so I really never had a chance to mess up my credit, thankfully. I never had a chance to mess up my credit. So from then, it just started as building and building on it and building on it and building on it. So I'm 23 with a 750 credit score. And doing so, I was like, okay, now let me work on maybe trying to help other people do the same thing or repair. And I got into that. And then I went and got certified. I got board certified because one thing about me, it's one thing to say you know what you're doing, but I want to know. I want to really know what I'm doing. So I went and got board certified, and then I took like credit repair courses. I took classes and stuff just to like really perfect my craft, and I started doing it. And it took off. Like within the first 6 months, I was able to quit Chase. And in doing so, I quit Chase, and I never looked back at working a job. I started doing that. And one thing about me, like when I'm making money, I need to figure out the next thing to do with it. So from then I started to invest into my properties. And that's what I've been doing for the past 6 months, having my properties. So now I have my business, my properties, and yeah.
We're going to get into the Airbnb in a little bit. We're going a little bit too fast.
Yes. Right, sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. So, okay, you started at Citi, then you went over to Chase. What even got you into banking in the first place?
So I went to college for accounting. I didn't graduate. I went to college for a year and a half. So like even in high school, I knew I wanted to do something with finances. I've always been a money's girl. Like I've always like
to the bag. You always knew you was gonna get to the bag.
Right. I've been working since I was 14. My first job I was able to get at a Citibank. At a City Garden. It was like a summer camp. And that was my first job. And from then I fell in love with making my own money. And you got to remember, I'm coming from a mom who she was at 20. She had my brother. She was 24. So, a lot. And me and my mom talk about this a lot. But when you're in a struggling situation and you kind of have more children, so that didn't help our situation become easier. It kind of became worse. She had another child to take care of. So, making my own money, I was able to buy things that I didn't have to ask my mom for, or that she could tell me no. I was able to make my own money, and from that point, it was like planted the seed. I'm like, how can I make more money? And I knew that, was how to make more money, learn how money works. So I always knew that I wanted to do something with finance. Like something with finance was going to be my future regardless. So I wanted to work at a bank for a very long time. I honestly applied to like 3 before I got hired. I was so young, nobody wanted to hire me. I was all because I had just turned 18. Like I applied when I was 17. They were like, no, you have to wait till you're 18. I went back, applied to Wells Fargo when I was 18. They denied me. I applied to some local branch bank, denied me. And everybody's reason was like, you're great, but you have no experience and you're 18. You're too young, you have no experience. So in Citibank, I walked in and I was myself how I always am, and the lady just loved me and she hired me, and that kind of got my foot into the door. So when I went to apply for Chase, it was like, you already have 2 years experience. Come on. So yeah.
Okay, definitely. I want to actually mention something. So a lot of people in life, they're just like, they'll consume information, but they won't actually take action. We got like damn near 100 episodes of my podcast. I know some people listen, they don't take no action. I don't want people to sleep on the fact that you are working at this bank. You're asking people for information. You're not just sleeping on information. You made something out of the information. So can you speak about maybe the trait that made you do all that? Because I know that there has to be some discipline that you carried into your business as well. Like what made you like actually take action?
Like I said, that just regardless, I always knew that I want to make it. And the thing is, we all tell ourselves we want to make it. We want to make it in like one stage in life. But I understood that in order to make it, you got to do something to make it. You just can't say it and it's going to happen. You actually have to do something. You know what I'm saying? So my first step, initially, I didn't even think as big as where I'm at now or even where I'm going. I initially just wanted to be a banker. I was like, I knew I had to get into a bank to become a teller, because you can't be a banker without becoming a teller. So I was like, I need to get in as a teller. That was my real thing. I wanted to be a banker. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to spend these 2 years here, because that was the required time as well. You had to spend at least 2 years before you can be qualified as a banker. So I was like, I'm gonna spend these 2 years here, learn what I need to learn, do what I need to do so that I can qualify as a banker. But working in the bank, and like I said, seeing what I seen, it was like, there's no way I'm servicing people with millions of dollars in their account until I want to be a banker. And then I started to look at what the bankers actually make. I was like, no, I want to be like them. I want to be like the person with these millions of dollars. And and then it's so funny. My clients that I would have people who they wouldn't even go to no other teller but me. Like I was their teller to handle all the needs, and like that's how close I became with my clients. Some of my clients, my older clients, she calls me her mom. She's my mom. That's what she used to tell me, and she took me out to dinner, and she was one of like a very very wealthy lady. Like I would meet people like that, and my personality is so genuine. People just fall in love with me, so they want to see me win. So they would explain and break it down to me. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to be.
Yeah, hello.
I'm sorry. This is where you need to do. This is what you need to do. And they would tell me all the time, like, you don't belong here. Like, you don't belong behind that teller desk. Like, you're such a big personality. You could be doing so much more. Like, and people, every job I've ever been in, they've always told me that. Every job. They're like, you don't belong here. I swear on my child, every job I've ever been, they're like, you don't belong here. You need to be doing something bigger, something for your own. Like, you letting these people pay you pennies, and you could be making, you know what I'm saying? So, so from them to like just that, all of that, and combined, it was like, this is not where I belong. Like, this is not what I need to be doing. I need to figure out something to be able to make my own income and grow where I don't have no boundaries, no borders. And what actually made me quit City in the first place was I spent the 2 years there, right? As a teller. And when it came time for me to qualify as a banker, my boss she had no reason. She just wouldn't because you have to go see like interview with another manager, but she wouldn't put the recommendation in.
Oh wow. And
I felt like it was about race. I honestly felt like it was about race. There was no black bankers. I was the only black teller, let's be clear.
You probably one of the youngest ones, huh?
One of the youngest, and the only African American one. So I felt like she felt you should just be happy with where you're at. And they used to tell me, I'm telling you, with my job, they told me that there had never, in the years that branch has been open, she had never hired a black African American employee, black man, woman. She had never hired a black lady, so a black woman. So when I walked in, and they were all surprised, and when I got to know my employees, they opened up to me like, yeah. She's never hiked. She's like kind of racist. And honestly, even working with her, I realized she is very racist. Like we would have football players come in, or we would have not even football players. We would have millionaires come in, black men, and she would be like, "Oh, they have to be a football player or a musician." And she would make us do triple like security checks on the client when they walk in. So I realized that she was very racist. And I think she I don't know why. I think she hired me because they had to have some African American inclusion because they had gotten to a point. So after so many years, there was no black employees. They're questioning it, like, what's going on? And the district manager was actually black. So I think she kind of pushed, like, you need to have an African American in here. So I don't think she wanted me in there by like because she loves me. She had to, and I kind of was like, okay, you seem like a cool black person, so we'll take you. So when it came to me becoming a banker, which I wanted to, and I expressed to her when I first in my interview, this is why I'm here. This is what I want to do. She just was like, no, I don't. She just wouldn't tell me what, not let. You haven't been doing a good job, or you need more experience. It was just like, I don't think you're a good fit. And I quit and went to Chase. And then at Chase, I only was at Chase for a year, and it was so funny. Most of that year was during COVID. So I met with clients and stuff. I didn't have a deep as relationship as I did with Citibank. But I was there doing nothing because they would have us come in, do trainings. There's no clients. COVID was going on. But a lot of us were still on salary. So they had to pay us. So they wanted us to work. And it was like, I'm doing this training and I'm not doing anything with my life. Like I felt so like, this is not even what I want to be doing. And like during my trainings, I would be getting certified for the credit. I was taking my credit courses. Like while I was supposed to be doing Chase trainings, I was getting board certified and doing my trainings and doing what I had to do because I knew I wanted to start this business. And once I had all my certifications and stuff, and I had a couple clients flowing in, money was good. Said sayonara, sayonara.
I feel that.